Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the regular board meeting and public hearing. Today's June 8th, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Item 1.2, approval. Oh, sorry, 1.1, the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item 1.2, approval and adoption of the agenda.
I'll move approval.
David, thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Dawn. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 1.3, public hearing for item 5.1, which is the 2026-2027 MCOE budget. Do we have any public comment? Or... Go ahead, Petra.
Go ahead, Petra. Do I have 3 minutes? Or?
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. So my name is Petra Schulte, and I taught nutrition education for 11 years in the Fort Bragg Unified School District through a federal grant. And several years ago, the grand jury highly recommended to MCOE, to the board, to hire a dietitian. I'm retired, so I have no benefit from bringing up this topic. My husband wouldn't benefit from it or in any way. And that's why I've not pursued it so much, but I'm retired and I would like to bring up the topic to you and get you information over the next few months so that you could consider putting that in the budget in the future, that MCOE would hire a dietitian. They have done it before through ROP, what used to be ROP. And I talked to Paul Titchenen. He and I go to the same exercise class Tuesday and Thursdays in Fort Bragg. So I didn't get the last name of the person, but Les, either Roderick, Ridgeback, or Ridgeback from Ukiah, he supervised all the culinary programs, and they had a dietitian who would work with the culinary teachers. So they would, the students would grow the food, especially like in Anderson Valley. They grew the food, they brought it to the cafeteria, then the culinary arts program used it, and I think Fort Bragg does it too. And the dietitian would support the culinary instructors throughout Mendocino County. And then again, the report from the grand jury was several years ago to hire a dietitian. So that would be my report today. Do I have any more time?
Yeah, you have
1 more minute. Okay, then I'd like to bring up another topic. My husband and I went to the open house at the Mendocino High School, and we talked to the shop teacher there. They had really a wonderful exhibit. I mean, all of them, beautiful artwork too, with the art teacher there. And the shop teacher, she's 0.4, and I think my husband might talk about that in his report too. She and her husband were covered under Covered California, and then the current administration canceled that program, and so they used to pay $700. And I know all of you who will be on the, health insurance, it's going to be $700 plus for everybody now. Well, she now, because she's no longer under Covered California, she's only 0.4 as a teacher. She has to pay $3,000 a month. And also one thing she mentioned was she started with 4 students in shop per period. She has 15 students now in each class, and it's a safety issue, she thinks, having so many students operating with machinery. So those are the 2 topics I wanted to talk about because it's related in general to the budget. And thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Petra.
Oh, yeah.
Is that appropriate?
Yes.
Okay. When you said she's 0.4, is that you meaning her time
Yeah, so
Okay.
her time is, she has two periods.
Okay.
But she's pretty maxed out with students. And of course, if they would give her another period, then she would get health benefits, and you all know how expensive that is. I think it goes to 0.6. I'm not 100% sure if you have to be 0.8 to get full benefits or not.
Okay. Another question on the registered dietitian.
Yeah.
Do you keep in touch with, I know it's a small community of registered dietitians in the area.
I've known two in Willits during the pandemic. I worked with them in putting out information on how to boost your immune system through food and hydration. But there are some really good dietitians in Willits through Adventist Health.
Okay.
One left town though, Anna Herbie, but there's another one that I've worked with before. Really excellent dietitians. So yeah, and I'm sure there are others too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your interest. I really appreciate it. Any other questions?
Just one comment I wanted to make. You know, back in the old days, back in my day, every high school had a home economics class. And of course, they had a certain perspective, mainly the girls took it, and it was geared towards them being good wives. And I think that's the reason it was sort of eliminated, but also in those classes, students got a lot in the way of nutrition guidance. And it's just not there anymore.
I think it's replaced with culinary, and there's no gender on that.
No.
Do we have any more public comment in regards to item 5.1, reeling us back in?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment regarding item 5.1, the MCOE budget. Do I have to say the time? 10:06?
Yeah, we need to close the hearing now.
10:06.
10:06. Moving on to item 1.4, public hearing concerning an energy services contract. We'll open that up at 10:07.
There's no
Any
public
public
comment on
comment?
that unless someone here has, no.
Okay. Do I have to keep it open for a second?
No, we can close it right away if nobody's.
We will, seeing none, we'll close public hearing for item 4.6 at 10:07.
10:07.
Moving on to item 1.5, public hearing in regards to the 2026-2027 LCAP. Do we have any public comment in regards to the LCAP?
There is no public comment in regards to the LCAP.
Okay, all right, seeing none, we will close public comment, 10:07. Moving on to item 1.6, approval and adoption of the minutes from May 11th, 2026.
So moved.
Thank you, Marilyn. Do we have a second? David? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 1.7, public participation, and this is for agenda and non-agenda items. Does anyone have public comment on agenda or non-agenda items?
We didn't have anybody fill out a
All
form
right,
either.
awesome. Seeing none, we will move on to item 2, correspondence. We have none. Item 3, consent agenda. We have none. Moving on to item 4.1, Prop 28, Arts and Music in School Funding Annual Report 2025-2026.
So this is a required report because we received those funds. Does this need to be approved, Heather? Yes. So you can see some of what we've done in that report. We don't have enough to hire a full-time staff member for this. But anyway, you can see some of the things that we've done and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So the reason that we have no teachers, no aides, et cetera, is because we're under that 500 ADA.
That's for our schools. You can see that we have been providing arts education to our schools through other means, to schools, not MCOE schools, but schools throughout the district.
Okay.
And so you can see we've served quite a lot of students there. Am I reading that right? Yeah.
Okay, so the Prop 28 funds that we receive, are for MCOE schools, so Community School, Ore Creek, and West Hills. And then we also receive for early learning and care, the preschool. And the majority of that number of students served, the 344 that's shown up there, are the preschool sites students.
Oh, okay. Do we have any questions in regards to the report?
So yeah, I have a question. So are these funds, are they used to pay like outside contractors to provide?
Yeah, so they can be used for supplies, or you can pay for instructors or outside consultants to come in and maybe show them how to do ceramics. Or I think what our schools have been doing a lot of, and Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, but like mindful martial arts and different things like that.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the annual report as presented?
I move we approve
Marilyn, do
the
I have a
annual
second?
report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving item 4.2, resolution 26.6.1, authorizing the filing of applications for naming county office representative and authorizing participation in the SOB. Is that pronounced correctly?
Sure.
Or is it state account,
State School Facility Program,
okay,
or the SAB. I call it SAB, but
SAB,
the State Allocation Board.
thank you.
So this you're gonna see there's 4 items that are all related to the same thing. To be clear, there are no current state facility funds that we're planning to be awarded on this. But we want to get ourselves in line for any future funding. So the first resolution is authorizing the authorized signers for our organization, which would be Nicole Blunter, myself, and then Ryan Bartow, and that's just for like providing information needed to the state allocation board. Yeah, that's the first one.
Okay. Any questions in regards to this resolution? Okay, seeing none, do I hear a motion to approve?
I move we approve item 4.2, resolution 26.6.1.
Thank you, Marilyn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4.3, resolution 26.6.2, authorizing the filing of applications for state allocation board administered programs for MCOE.
So there's a couple of these that look very, very similar, and I keep getting myself confused on them. This one, though, I believe is also establishing our intent to apply, but also acknowledging that under these new rules under that Proposition 2, that a facilities master plan would be required after, I think it's like 6 months or something, of their review of our application. So that's something that we're aware of, and so this would just be acknowledging that requirement.
Any questions? Seeing none, do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval.
Thank you, David. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Don, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4.4, resolution 26.6.3, authorizing the filing of applications for state allocation board administered facility hardship.
This one is also acknowledging our intent to apply for the state facility program. And that's basically it. These 4 are very, very similar, but these are all required in order for us to submit our application for funds.
Any questions in regards to this resolution? Okay, I hear a motion to approve.
I move we approve item 4.4, resolution 26.6.3.
I'll second.
Seconded by Dawn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4.5, resolution 26.6.4, authorizing the filing of applications for state allocation board administered facilities hardship.
So this one is also establishing our intent to file, but this is more specifically for facility hardship or the seismic mitigation funding. So we're submitting these all not knowing for sure if we're gonna, need to look at these ones. Facility hardship, though, is the only really avenue that county offices can really access. So that is the one that we'll probably end up utilizing.
And it, I was just reading about it over the weekend, and it sounds like there's no monies at all in the foreseeable future for this.
Right.
Has there been any further discussion on a state level as far as like how many years they project that we will be in this boat?
Yeah, it's hard to know. When they pass a bond, usually there's such a wait list of people who have already submitted applications. So this, if we get any funding, it'll probably be like several years, 5+ years down the road. But nonetheless, we want to get ourselves in line for any future funding.
Right, no, that's smart. Okay, thank you. God bless you. Any questions or comments? Do I hear a motion to approve 26.6.4?
I'll move approval.
Thank you, David.
I'll second.
Don seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4.6, resolution 26.6.5 concerning an energy services design build contract.
Okay, in this resolution, Gabe Johnson from Sizer Co. is also here in attendance, so he can help me answer any questions that I can't answer. This project, just for clarification, there was a design build contract we brought to you at a previous meeting, and that was for the MCOE solar project. This one is for the MCOE microgrid project. And this one, we're looking to utilize the government code 4217. We work with legal counsel. And this one is 100% grant funded if awarded. And through PG&E. And so what PG&E does is they allocate up to a certain amount of millions of dollars. And what our application is for, it's up to 9-point-something million. The amount that would be awarded to us based on our application is just a little over 5 million. It's 5,095,000. And then they also allocate up to an additional 3 million for allowances. That money won't come to us. And the design build, PG&E actually recommended Sizer Co. because they've gone through this before, so it actually bumps us up a little bit on the eligibility, gives us extra points for the review. And so then doing the design build was actually intended to save time, reduce cost, creates one point of contact because they would be managing the whole project versus having like subcontractors or a separate contractor. And then also one of the benefits would be fewer change orders. So that is what this project is. And for anyone who might not know, the microgrid project, if awarded, so if we do not get awarded, we would just be moving forward with a $25,000 design portion that Sizer Co. has already done, and that would be granted from PG&E. So there's no money out of MCOE's pocket on any of this. And the project would be located on the property next door where the CCC was, in the very, very back, so that we're not utilizing potential future space that we might need.
Any questions for Heather?
Yeah, I'm interested in just understanding more, so the microgrid project, so this would be part of the solar project or an addendum to it, or what?
It would actually, that's a great question. It would actually be two separate projects. The MCOE solar project was intended for solar and to save costs on utilities. This microgrid project is really just for resiliency. As the county, our IT team manages a lot of like the network infrastructure stuff, firewalls and things. So when our sites go down and during power outages, there's an impact for there. We do have generators, but they don't last for multiple days. So this microgrid project would, in the event that there's a power outage for this area, we would just come right back online. So there's not we would just continue to pay the same fees to PG&E that we have been paying, and it wouldn't be a savings to MCOE at all. But it would be the resiliency, and it also includes our neighbors here between this property and the property next door.
So is it that's great, because I was curious too, I didn't want to sound like, but, so when you're off grid, you've got your own generators, so basically we're supplying our own power. We would have a backup power system, is that what the microgrid means?
The microgrid would be solar powered, so there's
Okay.
gonna be solar panels that would feed into that microgrid so that whenever a power goes out, rather than relying on our generators that don't last for, I think more than 24 hours, if there was like a prolonged one, this would just automatically kick back on and it would keep our facility running as well as the residences that are right next door.
Is it powered with fuel though, or how is it powered?
No, it's just the solar panels that feed
Just
the battery, yeah.
What is the footprint? Do we know the footprint?
It's large. I don't remember that off the top of my head though. Gabe, do you remember?
You think like a large storage container,
Okay.
approximately?
Like
Yeah.
a C-train storage container?
Is it like a BESS system? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a battery energy storage system.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And just one,
Just one, correct?
okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So super important for us because when power goes out in our county, and we have had this before where power's out for multiple days, we're a hub. We run payroll for all the schools in our county, and we also have made ourselves available when others have lost power and we have it for their essential needs to send people. So as a county agency, making sure that we don't shut down when other people do is really important.
Any further questions? Okay. Actually, I did have a question. Resolution 26.6.5, I think it states that the project will not exceed $5,095,000,
Yes.
but the contracts, I think, add up to, I'm sorry, phase 1 and phase 2 add up to $5,018,100. What's the difference is about $77,000, I think, is the difference because there's unforeseeable potential.
No, I think that might just be a clerical error. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick.
Fix it.
It is a
Yeah.
great question what the cost to out of MCOE's pocket would be. Is that what you're getting at?
No, there's no cost out of our pocket.
I think it
Oh.
was.
I think I remember. So if we get awarded the 5 million, there's a 2% withhold for our staff time that would be covered under those. So that's the difference.
That's
Yes.
okay, thank you so much.
Took me a minute to remember that.
Okay, so do we need to approve the agreement separate from the resolution? Or can
No,
we
you can
approve it all together? Okay.
I move we approve item 4.6, resolution 26.6.5. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Nancy.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4.7, the second read of board policies. Board policy 1312.4, which is the Williams Uniform Complaint Procedures. And board policy 1160, our political processes. Do we have any questions or clarifications for those two board policies? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve these board policies as written?
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 5.1, the 2026-2027 MCOE budget presentation with Suzanne Steely.
So, I think you all have a copy of the presentation, just so it can be easier to follow along. So the first sheet here shows our budget cycle. This is a review of the budget cycle and an explanation of what it is. We are currently at the first phase of the budget cycle, which is that top bubble, the June adopted budget. And this is developed in the spring of each year, and it has to be adopted and submitted to CBE by June 30th. And the purpose of a budget is to allocate resources, meet goals, and ensure the public funds are spent responsibly. So on the next page here, this is a brief summary of the budget. There are 3 columns. The first column is estimated actuals. And estimated actuals are the current year revised budget amounts. The second column is a June proposed budget, and the third column is a difference between the two. So looking at the June proposed column, you can see that our projected beginning fund balance is a little over $27 million. Our total revenues are $27.6 million. Total expenditures, $27.7 million. And then the net decrease in fund balance is $26,000. We have an ending balance of $26.9 million. So now we'll go into detail of all these budget components. The first component is the beginning fund balance, and like I mentioned, it was $27 million. This figure is projected using the 25-26 revised budget ending fund balances, and the actual beginning balances will be known once we close our books in October, and then that number will be reflected on our first interim budget. The actual beginning balances are always higher than what's projected in June because revenues usually come in more than projected and expenses are usually less than budgeted. Revenue assumptions, so these are factors that were considered in projecting 26-27 revenues. Our assumptions include the local control funding formula, statutory cost of living adjustment or COLA of 2.87%, and that's combined with a discretionary investment COLA of 1.44% for a total LCFF COLA of 4.31%. This is referred to as a super COLA by some, and the additional funds are intended to help local educational agencies manage rising costs and to fund a new requirement to provide paid pregnancy disability leave. We applied the full 4.3% COLA to the LCFF funding sources and the statutory COLA of 2.87% to the other state funding sources. Property taxes were adjusted per the principal apportionment estimates. Principal apportionment is the primary source of funding for LEAs, for general purpose funding. We applied the full 4.31% COLA to LCFF. Oh, I said that, I'm sorry. We added, removed, or adjusted grants per projected funding. And then we reduced direct services revenues in conjunction with cost decreases. So there's a less need of our districts for our direct services such as psychologists, nurses, occupational physical therapists, and speech services. So that results in less revenue. Our assumptions for revenues resulted in the following. So our LCFF projected revenue is $11.2 million. LCFF funding is comprised of the Alternative Education Base Grant and the Supplemental and Concentration funding, and that total is $1.1 million. These are our county community school and our West Hills Juvenile Hall School funding. The county operations grant is $4.5 million. Differentiated assistance is $1,033,000. Education protection account is $5,600. And then local property taxes are $4.5 million. And this is the amount that remains in our general fund after 37% is passed through to SELPA. Our federal revenues are $1.9 million. This is less than the 25-26 estimated actuals, and the reasons for that are funding decreases. Funding decreases can happen for ADA, our unduplicated count, different things like that. So we saw a reduction in Title I, supplemental inclusive practices, rural and low income, and Title IV, also in mental health aware. And then some funding sources that ended were Title I ESSA, or Every Student Succeeds Act. That was $91,000, and then Cal Bloom, $45,000. Although I think Cal Bloom may be renewed, but we don't know that for sure yet. And there were no notable funding increases or new funding sources for the federal funding. State revenues are $4.1 million, and we saw decreases in the after-school education, or ACEs, California Community School Partnership, Learning Communities for School Success. And then state funding that was removed includes student support and professional development, literacy coach reading specialist, learning recovery, and K-16 Redwood Initiative. Now, when I say these are removed, it doesn't mean that we no longer have the funding. I'll explain later that it just was removed from the revenue category, and now it's in the beginning balance category because we have multiple years to spend. New or increased state funding includes the special ed mental health. We saw a slight bump, $300, and then equity multiplier increased 64,000. Local revenues are 10.1 million, and those reductions included the mental health student support, healthcare career pathways, Cal MSCS, which is math, science, computer science, Title III Regional County Office of Education, and then Medi-Cal. Local revenues that were removed include the Medical Assistant Student Fund, $75,000. That was a donation we've received several years ago, and it was fully spent in 25-26. Also, 21st Century Foster Homeless Youth Foundation, Community Foundation, that was also a donation that was spent. We used that on providing meals, weekend meals for homeless students, and then student behavioral health. So there was an overall decrease in our revenues, and typically revenues increase or decrease, maybe increases or decreases may be due to ADA changes, unduplicated pupil count factors, funding balances such as deferred revenue or carryover, or our practice of budgeting revenues only when actual amounts are received. So I laid out 4 examples here of the different types, the different reasons that our revenue might increase or decrease. The first one is our LCFF. Our revenue in that category was increased, and that was because it was calculated based on the most recent certified average daily attendance. Example 2, our Title I decreases are due to changes in student demographics, such as those that qualify for free and reduced meals, English learners, foster youth, and low income. Those are known as unduplicated pupils. Our after-school technical assistance, 25-26 deferred revenue was removed for the 26-27 budget because we no longer had deferred revenue. And then our Medi-Cal revenue was removed, and that's because we budget those revenues only when we receive them. That number changes constantly, and we're currently looking back several years, almost a decade of Medi-Cal reimbursements, and we don't know what the amounts will be going forward. So expenditure assumptions are factors that were considered when projecting the 26-27 expenses. And they include changes in revenues changes in revenues also affect changes in expenditures. So when revenues like from grants and things like that go up or down, so do the expenses. There was a 2% step and column increase for our salaries, and then we projected a 3% salary schedule increase. Conversely, the salaries decreased in relation to staffing changes. There were fewer requests from districts for our direct services, and so that resulted in fewer positions, and then we also removed several vacancies that we haven't been using. The benefits changed in conjunction with the salary changes. There was a slight decrease in the PERS, Public Employee Retirement System rate, from 26.81 to 26.4. This is the first time it's starting to go down in several years. The STRS, State Teachers Retirement System, stays flat at 19.1%. And then there's a health cap increase, and that health cap is $1,125 per year. Utilities increase each year, and then our transfers out decrease because we removed the one-time $2.25 million transfer to our capital facilities fund that we took care of in 25-26. And then we removed all of our capital expenditures in the general fund. The certified nursing assistant building renovation is complete. And then there were some equipment that was purchased in 25-26. Our total expenditures are $27.7 million. Salaries are $14.7 million. Benefits are $6.9 million. Materials, supplies, and equipment are $833,000, which is a decrease of $430,000 from our current revised budget. And those are reduced per revenue reductions. Like I mentioned before, when revenues go down, we cut costs. And then also too, we look at, when we're developing a budget, our current year actual expenses. So if we see that they're trending much less or more, but usually less than what's budgeted, then we'll reduce the budget in the following year. Mileage reimbursements and professional development are $463,000. Dues and memberships are $58,000. Our insurance liability is $215,000. There's no change. That might change in the coming year depending on the different liability payments we have to make to the self-insurance plan, and I can't remember what that acronym is. School
employee
liability fund, something like that. And that's because of the California law to where victims of abuse can file claims for decades in the past. And even though we make a payment, doesn't mean we have a claim. All of the school districts, county offices, LEAs in the state pay into this fund whenever a claim comes around, no matter where it is in the state. Utilities are $259,000, and that's an increase of $17,000, and those costs continue to rise every year. Rentals, leases, and repairs are $183,000, I'm sorry. Interdepartment transfers are $174,000. These are the amounts that are moved to the general fund from SELPA and our Early Learning and Care Fund 12 to cover admin and business costs. Professional and consulting services are $2.3 million. Communications are $642,000. That was a decrease of $37,000. This notes I put that's mostly due to E-rate. And E-rate provides discounts on broadband services for schools and libraries across the state, across the country. And this is funding from the FCC. So discounts depend on the level of poverty and location of schools seeking support. And MCOE manages E-rate and circuits for the county. So if a school district might come out of that poverty rate, or if their circuits are already in place, if they need new circuits, that can all change the funding. Equipment and facilities, I mentioned that I have reduced that to 0, and because we've already purchased the equipment or finished the projects that we were doing in 25-26. And then transfers out are $1.4 million, and that's a decrease of $2.2 million, and that was that transfer for the solar project. So there's a net decrease in fund balance, which is referred to as deficit spending, and a net increase to fund balance would be a surplus. A deficit occurs when there are more expenses than revenues, and a surplus occurs when there are more revenues than expenses. And this budget results in deficit spending in the amount of $26,000, which is very minimal. Compare that to our 25-26 interim projected deficit spending of $2.6 million. Although $2.25 million was from the transfer of funds for the solar project, we would have had a deficit of $436,000. So it's a $400,000 improvement from our revised budget to this budget. Deficit spending is a result of funds that were revenue in 25-26 but moved to fund balance in 26-27. This occurs when multi-year revenues are all received in 1 year, but we're allowed to spend those over several subsequent years. And then in many instances, the beginning fund balance rather than revenue is used to cover those expenses. Our ending fund balance is $26.9 million, and this is calculated by adding the surplus or deficit to our beginning fund balance. And this just shows a little calculation, takes our revenues of 27.6 million, less expenses of 27.7, and then we have a deficit of 26,000, plus our beginning balance of 27 million. That leaves us with the ending fund balance of $26.9 million. That ending fund balance is comprised of different components based on specific parameters. So our commitments are board-approved reserves that are held for very specific uses. And we have a commitment of facilities upgrades for $2.5 million, technology upgrades $1.145 million, district loans of $2 million, and then STRS and PERS increases of $293,000. Assignments are unrestricted amounts that have not yet been expensed, and that is at $1.1 million. Restricted program balances are restricted resource amounts that have not yet been expensed, and that is $2.4 million. Then we have a reserve for economic uncertainty, and that's a safety net that would meet our expenses for approximately 2 months, and it represents about 15% of our general fund expenditures. That amount is $4.1 million. Unappropriated reserves are $13.3 million. This amount is unappropriated or unassigned, and it can be used to cover deficit spending, unanticipated expenses, etc. In summary, the proposed budget was developed using the most current information available, including the governor's May revision, local control funding formula calculations, grant revenue projections, enrollment, and staffing projections. The projections include a significant beginning fund balance, and although we project reduced revenues, the reductions in expenses far exceed those revenue decreases, which positively affects our deficit spending. We continue to deficit spend, but the amount is minimal, and it's a result of careful monitoring of budgeted expenses and deficit spending. Our deficit is a result of multi-year funds that are no longer coded to revenue, rather they're coded to beginning fund balance, as the revenue was received in a prior year but can be spent in subsequent years. Our financial outlook is positive, and we're able to meet our financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years.
Great, thank you. I do have a question for you. Going back to revenues, where you outlined what was removed, the Foster Youth Homeless Community Foundation, which provided weekend meals. Are we funding that in some other fashion, or?
No, so that was a one-time donation, but I believe I heard after this budget was developed that they did another donation, and I can't remember what the
good.
amount is. And we also received a very significant donation from Juvenile Hall.
Probation. From the probation department.
Probation department. And I think it's up about 80,000 now. And that is solely to provide meals for the homeless students.
And
Those
that,
are also snack packs.
Snack packs, yeah.
okay, and that is countywide?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The other question I had in regards to utilities, we do expect that to improve once we're fully on board and our
Yes.
solar project is completed. I can't
Yes.
remember the numbers that we were projecting, but it seemed like it was going to be a substantial savings.
Yeah, it will be, and that project is starting to get underway, so we'll see it. I think it should be finalized by December of 2027, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, those will improve.
Great, thank you. Any further questions for Suzanne?
No.
I had a comment and a question. I just want to say, I think it's, first of all, it's great. This is a very thorough and
Yes.
excellent report. So I really like that you have budgeted for COLAs for your workers. I think that's awesome. It's important that we take care of our workers, teachers, staff. That's great. Put it right in the, project it in the budget. I did have a question. I was just wondering, You mentioned statutory 2.87% COLA. What does that mean?
So that 2.8% COLA is the COLA that, actually in the governor's budget, that's what they project the COLA to be. But I think there are things that need to happen with, other government agencies that will set that in stone. So it's not set in stone yet, but that's probably what it will be.
So that is set out like on the state level, they said?
In July.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then that is a COLA that everybody receives. So the additional COLA was for that, just for the LCFF funding sources, and that was mainly to cover a new mandate to provide the pregnancy disability leave.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's all very good, yeah.
Hope it all follows through.
Yeah.
Any further questions for Suzanne?
I do. I see a 3% salary increase, which I support, but my question is who determines the salary increase?
We negotiate, and so we're coming up on closing negotiations for this coming year. We anticipate having everything signed off this week, really, so that any increases take effect July 1. And then we'll start next year, our negotiations team will start negotiating for the subsequent year. So we have California Federation of Teachers they represent both our classified and certificated, and then Heather's our chief negotiator, and then Becky Jeffries from our director of personnel is also on the negotiations team, as is one of our attorneys, or an attorney through school and college. And then our union has a classified negotiations team and a certificated negotiations team.
Marilyn?
I'm just adding a comment here, just because, I've been in the workforce for so long. Cost of living it's a great question, great subject to bring up, but it seems that 3% has historically been a cost of living, that people could average 3%, but lately cost of living is higher. So, I mean, we're estimating it to be under 3, but 3's been sort of average, but now with the food the way it is, gas the way it is, I think our cost of living is really going to skyrocket.
So the 2.87 COLA is the revenue that we'll receive through the local control funding formula COLA coming from the state level. The 3% salary schedule increase is in addition to the 2%-ish step and column that all staff members will receive. And we are closed with classified negotiations. We're just wrapping up the rest of certificated, but the salary settlement is completely done. And in addition to that, we did an increase to the health cap of $1,006, so that brings it up to $16,500 total. So it also helps on the other side with lowering those health premiums for them.
That's great. That's a great point.
Great.
Yeah.
Right.
Boy, as a county employee.
I know.
I just have to say, that's excellent. Getting the negotiations done before the contract ends, that's never happened while I've worked for the county.
The union partners are, and our negotiations team, they're pretty great, and I think there's a commitment to making sure that people know what they're getting paid. We have been in situations where we do retro payments, but we always prefer to get it ahead of time so people can start the year off with the pay they're going to get.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's great that we keep up with all that.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 5.2, the LCAP, 2627 LCAP. With Chris Francis?
Chris and Jennifer's here to answer any questions as well. This comes to you. So this is what we'll be approving on Wednesday. So today is the board. If there's input from the board, this is the time to give it. I know you've seen it before, so there's nothing really new here. I don't know if there's much change since the last time they saw it, Chris, but a lot of input goes into this from different community partners and parents.
Yeah, really, this just encapsulates all the input that we received so far. There was the board input that happened a couple of meetings ago in May on those sheets for goals 1, 2, and 3. Throughout the process this year of completing our WASC review. We developed an action plan through WASC, and one of the items there is to align the WASC action plan into this plan, and we've done that in goals 1 and 2 and 3. So the same updates that I had in the initial board presentation for input are in those already, along with a rationale for it. There weren't any fundamental funding changes or expenditures that happened that were of note. We did go through our stakeholder engagement process. We also included some available metrics for our goals that are in the first part of the goal. I think one that was kind of surprised me was I think like a 13% reduction in suspension for our community schools, and also there was a reduction in the amount of chronically absent students at our Oak Creek school, which I thought was pretty cool. So we are also putting in there doing a curriculum alignment for the next LCAP cycle, and we piloted our new Imagine Learning, our student assessment system. So that's in place, and we'll have better local data to report for next year too, but all signs are looking pretty good for that right now. So no substantial changes, but be prepared for next year. Is going to begin the writing of the next LCAP cycle. So this next year, 26-27 is year 3. And it's a 3-year cycle, so there'll be lots of input sessions and all sorts of things that will be happening for the development of the 27, 28, so on LCAP. So
Thank you. Any input, questions, comments? All right, thank you.
alrighty, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 5.3, the differentiated assistant summary report for 25-20, report 25-26 for 26-27.
And Dr. Odell would normally present this, and she wasn't able to be with us here today. So this goes over some of the DA work that was offered through the County Office of Education. Jennifer McCauley's here. If there are any questions that you have, Jennifer can probably field those. If not, we can get back to you after Nicole Odell is able to be with us.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move on.
Does this require approval? No, it's just a report, yeah. Great, thank you.
I have a question on the next item. It says that
The dashboard?
conference is in Anaheim, but it's actually,
Oh, we're not there yet. We
Okay.
still have, so
Still
moving
on
on to item 5.4, California dashboard.
oh,
local
okay, I thought we were moving to
indicators.
5.5. I'm just jumping around, aren't I?
That's okay, we'll get there, I promise. Any questions in regards to this document? Okay, seeing none, we will now move on to item 5.5, CSBA Annual Education Conference.
You're right, it's in San Diego, not Anaheim.
That's what, yeah, it's saying, it says Anaheim, but I
Right.
didn't know if we needed to correct that just for,
Well, it's just here to
Okay.
discuss, so I'm definitely attending because I'm on the planning committee. And I know sometimes board members have gone when it's in Northern California, but not in Southern California. I think, Marilyn, you've gone when it's in Southern
Yeah.
California. The expense wasn't that different. When you went, I think it was, the mileage reimbursement versus the airline ticket.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just a matter of preference. But I wanted to put it on your radar because there's a room block. This is, there's thousands of people that attend this. And the hotel rooms that are nearest the convention get reserved right away. And so if anyone knows now that they want to go, we want to reserve your rooms right away, so that we get you in those that are closest to the convention. So it'll be at the San Diego Convention Center, I think is where it's at. So
What do you think the deadline is on knowing?
I think you can sign up it's pretty late. Getting the room, it gets
Yeah.
really, really hard, but I think you can sign up pretty late for the conference.
For the room though?
Oh, for the room?
Yeah,
It'll launch June 9th.
okay.
And they open it up about 8 o'clock, and about 8:02, everything's kind of.
Yeah, I'd like to go, but I think
It is, yeah.
I think I'm gonna have a conflict in December, but I'll find out.
Yeah, and so if we can't get a room right nearby, there are, you can get a room and Uber there and
They'll have probably about like 15 kind of.
different hotels.
Different hotels, but like I said, a lot of them do for maybe 2
Yeah,
But they'll do like shuttles like they did in Sacramento, they'll have that shuttle option, most likely as well.
so. But if anybody knows now for sure that you're going, we'll make sure to get a room for you when we get a room for me, and hopefully we can get a room for me that's nearby. And the conference is, it's a multi-day conference. They have a pre-conference that we went to last year. The pre-conference is like an all-day workshop sort of thing. And then the conference has 45-minute or an hour-long workshops just throughout the day, and they have different strands. So it's an all-day from 8 in the morning. They have general assemblies, so they've got big, they have speakers that come in. And then they have things in the evenings, different paid events, or some of them are free events, hosted events where you meet like small school district association or groups like that will host like an hors d'oeuvre hour so that you can meet some of their staff. And so there's it's the sort of thing where you want to hydrate and wear tennis shoes because it's like all day long. And it's really great, but as you know, there's all kinds of online trainings that we can attend as well. This offers something very different because you're meeting and hearing, you're meeting other board members and really growing your understanding of how different districts and different county offices operate, which is helpful. So going is great, and if you don't go, that's fine. I just want to make sure that you know it is an option. And from our county, we usually have at least 3 districts that send board members to the conference as well.
I went for my very first time this last December as a new board member, and I found it very beneficial. And I really I like the fact that they did have some discussions tailored to County Office of Education. So I learned quite a bit, and I focused on things that were going to get me started. But I think if I were to do it again, I think I would focus more on the financial side of things. Since you're on the planning committee, is there going to be equal or more county related?
They have most of it is geared towards school districts, or it might cover both. The topics that I've reviewed as we review the different presentations or proposals, they're all things that would be informational for you to do that would edify your work. But not all things that you actually do as county board members. There's some discussion, like general things like communication during a crisis and navigating a crisis. That applies to any board. They also have topics related specifically to students and students whose parents are in the military. So some of it's very specific, or students who live near the border and cross over the border and go to school in both Mexico and California, So some of it's very specific. I do think that there's plenty to keep a county board member engaged in work that is theirs. And in fact, last year, David, you were there as well, and we went to, I think the 3 of us went to a luncheon that was specifically for county boards, and we heard a presentation about Foster Ferret, which is an app for foster students because county offices run that program. So yeah, there's plenty to keep a county board member engaged.
It's wonderful. It just sort of invigorates you and reminds you of why you're there and your options. And I got some hope with workforce housing. I went to a seminar on that, and it's nice to see what other counties are doing.
Yeah.
And
if you are able to go for part of it and not all of it, you don't have to be there the whole time, which is another.
And sorry, can you repeat the deadline for letting me know? Is it, you said tomorrow?
Today, if you know for sure.
Okay.
Because, so we will likely get a room for me and one other room just in case that we can also cancel.
Okay.
But if we knew that there was more than one person coming, we'd probably try to get more rooms.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
But I guess I need to come in.
We'll try to get 2 rooms for the whole time, and keep our fingers crossed that we can do that.
Okay, great. All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, moving on to item 6.1, MCOE School Programs and Student Enrollment Report.
Well, you can
Looks
see that
pretty-
there. Yeah.
No major changes.
Right.
Moving on to, any comments? questions?
No, I just said straightforward.
Okay. Item 6.2, the Human Resources Personnel Report. It was very short and sweet.
Can I ask a question? How are we doing with Chris's replacement?
We have somebody hired for, to be principal. His name's Mark Felice. He's coming to us. He's currently the principal in Point Arena. I believe he grew up in this area. Is that true? Or he has family in this area? One of the. So, yeah. So he's already met with Chris. He's excited about coming over. So we're very excited about him.
Nice.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6.3, the Educational Services Report.
So without Dr. Odell to highlight things, I know that you guys read that report, and if there's anything else you want to call out, we're happy to discuss it.
Any comments or questions? I did have one, but I wasn't sure. I mean, and now that Dr. Nicole Odell isn't here, I'm not sure if anyone can answer it, but looking at the homeless foster youth report, it's on page 4, where it talks about homeless and foster youth one-on-one district trainings completed for the year. What does that look like? Like, what is?
I think that's training with their district foster liaisons.
With the liaisons.
Each district has to have a foster liaison. I think that's what that is, but we can get clarification on that.
And then it says, is that 10 out of 13 districts completed and 8 out of 11 charters completed? And those are liaisons within the. Okay.
Their liaisons, by the way, they're often, especially in our smaller districts, they have multiple hats, but that's one of the hats that they wear, is that it's not a full-time job necessarily, but they all have to have a foster liaison.
All right. Moving on to item 6.4, Business and Administrative Services Report with Heather Rantala.
I'll keep it brief. You heard from Suzanne. We finished up the adopted budget, which is great. She does an excellent job. In external fiscal, we're really just supporting the same process for all of our LEAs. In our maintenance department, we have started the kickoff meeting for the solar project. And part of the IRA incentive that we were trying to make sure that we lock in, there's 2 criteria to meet that. One is to get a portion of that project like under construction by July 4th, which is kind of like locks it in. Then it could take, I'm going to exaggerate, but it could take 3 years to finish, and then we would still receive those IRA incentives. The other one is having it completed by December 31st of 2027. We wanted to make sure that we were able to lock in the first one. We just want that, like, we don't want to get later on and realize we miss a deadline or something. So we've been working with Sizer Co. And getting like the design underway, the inverters, the RSDs, which I don't know what that stands for, but also like the racking structures, like purchasing the equipment and getting those pieces and meeting the definition of construction for this project. So we've already been able to meet that, so that kind of makes me feel better. We've also, the maintenance team is also working on sort of office space needs throughout the campus, and they've added an additional office space in the main older building, and they did an excellent job. They do very good work. Our technology team has completed the installation of new cameras throughout the campus. We've had some like older ones that were kind of hand-me-down, so we're upgrading so that we have better visibility at night and things like that. And then we also finalized some fiber upgrades for the CNA and some other ones. Technologies work really ramps up over summer because they do a lot to support some of the districts. And then in other parts of the work that we do, we just closed up the open enrollment process for health insurance. And we're still closing out Staywell, so we're going to have that process for the next year or so as it fully dissolves. Otherwise, we're moving forward with RESIC and things are going smoothly. So that is all I have.
Any questions in regards to the report?
So you did say that we met the requirement of breaking ground or whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
by July 4th. So, I mean, we could have met it another way, but I just, for my own sanity, I feel better knowing we met the first requirement.
That's a lot of work. You juggle so much. I don't know how you do it all.
Well, I have a really good team, so.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, we're gonna move on to item 6.5, our superintendent's report and district updates.
Yes, so since our last meeting, there's been several things that have been going on. May's a really busy month in schools. I was invited to give a presentation to the Ukiah Kiwanis Club, talking about some of the work that we do at the County Office of Education. I received an invitation by the City of 10,000 Buddhas, they hosted the Community Foundation event. Actually, the invitation went to Blythe, but I got to tag along as well. Blythe is our foster homeless liaison, and she was one of the grant recipients. So we really appreciate the hospitality of the City of 10,000 Buddhas and the hard work of the Community Foundation. I've joined a new committee because I was running low. I'm part of the statewide K-12 high-speed network, so I haven't officially started in that role. I start in July. I did attend my first introductory meeting to meet the other members. This group works on high-speed, reliable bandwidth for K-12 schools, so I'm representing California County Superintendents on that. I really appreciate the work of our county Office of Emergency Services. They always include our county office in preparation meetings, remembering that schools are an important part of our community. And so in May, they had their pre-fire season coordination meeting, which was just making sure that we have good communication. And there's a lot to it. I don't want to diminish it in any way, but for the county office and for schools, the communication and us being aware of the work that they do so that in an emergency we can be partners. So I appreciate that invitation. Not every county office experiences that, I've learned. I also received an invitation to the Hopland Research Center. They have celebrated their 50th anniversary. The work they do is really, really important in the education beyond K-12 education, but they also partner or do good work for K-12. So I attended that with another MCOE employee, our naturalist attended with me. We have the ACCBE conference here, which was well attended. This room was packed, but that was a wonderful conference. We had staff appreciation lunches. We do 3 of them so that we can get in locations where our staff are, and just really happy to celebrate our staff in the month of May. Was invited to the Ukiah Unified Day of the Provider. This is something that their community transition program does, where they invite local officials, law enforcement, fire department, really so that their students who are, it's a special ed program for young adults, but that those adults have an interaction with leaders, especially firefighters and law enforcement, and so that those first responders as well have an experience with them, so that in the community and once they leave the program, that both the responders have a better understanding of how these adults navigate the world, and these students maybe aren't quite as fearful when they encounter first responders and school leaders. It's a really fun time, and you see students playing, volleyball or playing games with firefighters, and it's really, really great. Dharma Realm Buddhist University had a tea and conversation for community leaders and the university president. That was, I was honored to be invited to that. They are the university just right down the road. They're the only university in our county, and that they're really, it feels like they're really ramping up their engagement with the community, and I appreciate that. And certainly their school leader attends our trainings, and so we have a good partnership there, and I appreciated the invitation. The Rural Professional Learning Network, there was Dr. Odell and I were invited to join staff from Blosser Elementary School in Willits and Willits Elementary School, Willits Charter Elementary School, who did a collaborative professional learning network where they there's a student-led project, and then the staff goes and visits each other's sites, and they learn what they did. So it's just professional learning, really meant to edify kind of fill the cup of the educators, and also through elevating the work of student-led work. I think I probably should have switched the student-led work that also edifies the educator. But it was just such an honor to, we were able to go and have dinner with them that we didn't get to, we had a previous engagement, we weren't able to join them when they did their school walkthroughs. But just to sit with educators and talk about work that they're excited about, work that they're frustrated by, it was really a wonderful get together, and we appreciate the work. It's a nonprofit organization that kind of brought that together. We had our alt ed graduation last week, and then there's the promotion of the students in the younger grades. We had one high school graduate. I really appreciate the work that Chris has done to make that such an awesome event. And then I have a new role as the chair of the California County Superintendent's Legislative Committee, which also puts me on their board of directors. So that's another committee that I want. Actually, two more committees that I want. So anyway, that wraps up my report.
I think one more committee and your next one's free, right?
Let's get my punch card out, yeah.
That's awesome. I'll give my report. May 16th and 17th, I attended the ACCBE, which is Association of California County Boards of Education. Dawn, myself, and Nicole participated. It was here. Nicole and I ended up giving little welcome speeches, and I should have taken a crash course in giving speeches from your student who graduated, because I stumbled all over mine. And I am not a great public speaker, but the graduate did such an amazing job, and I think this kid's really going to do very well. It was fun to watch. June 2nd, I attended the MCOE graduation and awards assembly. That was so fun. I loved it because you get to see the teachers and the staff come together, principals, families, and just recognize these kids for the hard work and community that they bring to their school sites. It was really fun to watch. What else? Oh, we have an upcoming luncheon where we get to recognize Nicole for being named Superintendent of the Year for our region. And that is, I want to say, I didn't write it down, but I want to say it's June 17th.
I think that's next Tuesday.
Roanoke Park.
June 16th.
June 16th, thank
In
you.
Roanoke Park, yeah.
So we get to celebrate and recognize what a great accomplishment. So that's all I have to report.
I attended last week's graduation, and I also appreciate meeting the families and the staff.
I went out to the Mendocino High School open house, and I had kind of a funny experience there. I went down into their wood shop. They have this fantastic wood shop there. And of course, they have a woodshop teacher who is 4/10 time there. And I talked to her for a while. And it just brought up one of those things that I've always been concerned about, and that is, for the money she makes as a teacher there, most of it goes to her buying her own health care. And so technically, she's sort of working there for nothing. And again, this problem of providing some sort of healthcare insurance for part-time employees, I think is probably a common problem throughout our county, because we have these smaller school districts, you know. But, and again, being able, I used to go down to the wood shop and work myself there, you know, and I really believe in the value of those programs. But how do you keep them alive when someone's working for nothing? That's what occurred to me.
Anything else to report?
That was it.
Well, everyone's been very busy this month, last month. I don't have anything to report this month.
Well, let's see. I went to our staff appreciation luncheon and got to see some people get awards, which was awesome. I think we do every 5, 10, 15. Is that we recognize every 5 years? And I remember when Alexi started, And I thought, wow, they've been here that long.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. It was well attended. Everybody was happy. We had cute little games on the table. What was it dad jokes?
Dad jokes, yeah.
I don't know who came up with that, but I want to get that for my grandson. What else was it? Oh, I guess I can just ask what time the luncheon is on the 16th. The only time
Oh,
I
I
could get
can
in
forward
with.
you, because we need to get the RSVPs in.
Yeah, my appointment
It's
with,
in Rodert Park.
I know, and my appointment with Mike, the only one I could get was on that morning.
Yeah.
Like late morning, so I probably will need to be on the road by then.
We'll email it to you.
Okay,
I'll email it to all of you.
okay.
All right, that concludes board member reports. Moving on to item 7.1, which is our closed session. We will.
So for closed session, we're going to, we'll go offline. We will come back online after closed session, because any action that is taken in closed session has to be reported out. But we're going to go offline for right now, and everybody that's not part of closed session is leaving the room. So basically Heather and I and the board.
And Suzanne.
So from closed session, the board took action to extend the approve the amendment to extend the KZYX lease agreement through October 31st. And that was through a unanimous vote. That was the only action taken by the board.
Okay. Moving on to item 8.1, report out from closed session we did, sorry. 8.2, next board meeting is Wednesday, June 10th. And 8.3, adjournment.
Can I speak up?
sorry.
I think technically there's,
There's a fire nearby,
okay.
that's what we're smelling.
There's one other thing in closed session, this is not official action, but there will, the board also decided to have a special board meeting to immediately follow the regular board meeting on June 10th.
Thank you. Item 8.3, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you,
I'll
David.
second.
Seconded by Dawn. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, no.
See you Wednesday.
Is that on my way? Oh, no.
It's on Stanford Branch Road.
Okay.
Received any sort of,
I'm looking at watch duty.
so,
Eunice Fire.
How
Yeah.
big is it?
See, it's on Sanford Branch
Yeah, it's
Road.
very strong.
I just saw Nob Hill.
Would you
Okay.
get a notice to evacuate if you need to?
yeah.
I can't believe the price of these houses.
Updated 1 minute ago.
Yeah, it says resources on scene, responding to vegetation fires not visible.
What are you reading? Is that a Nixle?
Watch duty.
Watch duty, okay.
Yeah, you know, it just drives me crazy. They've got controlled burn happening at the end of June. They're gonna start burning like, over at, Nelson Vineyards. They're gonna, you know how they burn.
Thank you, you
But come
forwarded
on,
me
you
an
guys, you could
email
have been doing that
regarding
for the last couple weeks.
a webinar.
Let's wait till it's super dry, right, before 4th of July
Yeah,
weekend.
and it was, and
ruin
I
everybody's
shared that
drive.
out with charter school leaders and superintendents, and
You know,
Heather and I attended, and for Heather, of course, she knew most of the stuff that they were presenting, but I think it was really good information for our charter schools and our directors that attended, so thank you for that.
Like something like that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
well, yeah, and even this house, you know. It seems like we're doing a lot of work, but we're finding a lot of things that need to be repaired. You know, and I'm having to explain to my wife, like, hey, we're barely making the money.
Oh, it's okay.
You know, like, I wanna fix all these things too, but they all cost
Oh,
money.
the videos work on our
I
way?
saw a cartoon one time, it was a big house, and the guy was in the house, like the house was a star.
Oh, yeah, you guys, if you wanna head right outside, Brooke's right outside for us.
Yeah. Okay,
We're gonna meet Brooke right out here.
we move our stuff for now?